Have you ever wondered what truly disrupts your sense of peace, and how much control you have over those disruptions? Inner tranquility is something many of us long for, yet few seem to hold on to for long. The pressures of modern life, constant external demands, and our reactions to them often keep us in a state of internal conflict. But is peace really about finding the perfect external circumstances, or is it more about learning how to master our reactions to the inevitable chaos that life throws our way? The ancient Stoics argued that true peace isn't a product of what happens to us, but rather how we interpret and respond to those events. It's a lesson worth pondering. Can we find serenity in the storm if we adjust our perspective? Stoic philosophy, practiced and perfected by thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, delves into the psychology of human contentment and distress. Central to their teachings is the idea that many of our troubles are self-inflicted, stemming from a mindset that clings to things beyond our control. They posed a powerful question: how much of your mental suffering is due to your expectations and judgments rather than the events themselves? This perspective challenges us to confront our own thought patterns and behaviors that may be sabotaging our sense of calm. The Stoics were keen observers of human nature, emphasizing that our minds have an incredible capacity to create inner turmoil if left unchecked. Philosophically, the Stoics believed that achieving peace is a discipline, a lifelong practice of aligning our actions and beliefs with reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. They didn't offer a life free of pain or hardship, but they did suggest that we could find enduring peace even amid life's inevitable challenges. What if the path to tranquility involves not just seeking comfort, but also becoming more resilient, wise, and discerning? The teachings invite us to examine not only what we let into our lives, but also what we might need to let go of. As you reflect on your own experience, consider this: are you willing to give up certain habits, desires, or expectations to cultivate the kind of peace that the Stoics wrote about centuries ago? Before we start, please subscribe to the channel, and if you like this video, like it and write your opinion through comments. After this introduction, let's move on to the main topic and explore 5 important things about this topic. If you don't have peace, avoid these 5 things. Number 1. Overthinking the future. Overthinking the future is a common mental habit that robs us of our present peace. We spend endless hours worrying about what might go wrong or trying to predict every outcome, believing that we can somehow control the unknown. This preoccupation with the future, however, can be paralyzing. Imagine someone who constantly frets about losing their job or never achieving their dreams. They may find themselves unable to enjoy simple pleasures or connect meaningfully with others because their mind is consumed by what could happen. As the Stoics taught, it's not the events themselves but our anticipation and fear of them that cause the most distress. So the question remains, is all this mental energy truly protecting us, or is it trapping us? Stoic philosophy reminds us that the future is inherently unpredictable, no matter how much we analyze or plan. Epictetus once said, "It is not the things themselves that disturb people, but the judgments that they make about these things." Instead of worrying endlessly, the Stoics encourage us to focus on what we can control: our attitudes and actions in the present. For example, rather than obsessing over whether a project will be successful in the long run, it's more constructive to give it your best effort now. By doing so, you reduce anxiety and increase your sense of purpose. Consider this: how often has the outcome of your worries been as catastrophic as you imagined? Psychologically, overthinking activates the body's stress response, releasing hormones like cortisol that can be harmful when prolonged. This constant state of alarm weakens our well-being. The mind may feel stuck, running through scenarios like a hamster on a wheel, never moving forward. One way to break this cycle is to practice mindfulness, a technique similar to what the Stoics advocated. By grounding ourselves in the moment and accepting uncertainty as a part of life, we gain the clarity to act more decisively. Reflect what would happen if you let go of the need to control every future event and embraced life's unpredictability with courage. Breaking free from overthinking doesn't mean you stop planning altogether. Preparation is wise, but there's a significant difference between proactive planning and anxious rumination. Proactive planning allows you to set goals while remaining flexible, but rumination steals your joy and clouds your judgment. The Stoics mastered the art of accepting that the future will unfold as it may, emphasizing preparation without attachment to specific outcomes. Can you commit to spending less time lost in what-if scenarios and more time embracing the opportunities and challenges of today? Number 2. Constant worry. Constant worry is like a mental storm, disrupting any sense of inner calm and well-being. It often begins with small concerns but spirals into an overwhelming cycle that seems impossible to escape. Why do we engage in this exhausting habit? At its core, worry gives us a false sense of control. If we think about every possible scenario, we feel we're better prepared. Yet the reality is, this never-ending loop of fear often drains us and rarely leads to any meaningful solutions. Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher, wisely observed, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Are we causing ourselves unnecessary pain through our worries?" The Stoics understood that worry is an illusion, a mental projection that magnifies our fears rather than addressing them. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic emperor, recommended reflecting on the worst-case scenario and accepting that even then, we could endure. This isn't about pessimism but realism. For instance, if you constantly worry about a loved one's health, consider what action you can take to encourage healthy habits, but recognize that you can't prevent every possible outcome. In this way, worry becomes more manageable, and we free up mental space for the present. How much of your worry could you turn into constructive action, and how much of it is purely wasted energy? Psychologically, chronic worry can lead to anxiety disorders and physical symptoms like headaches, digestive issues, or insomnia. The brain becomes wired to expect the worst, creating a state of perpetual stress. To counter this, Stoicism suggests cultivating a sense of amor fati, the love of one's fate. This means embracing life in all its unpredictability and believing that we can handle whatever comes our way. By accepting that some events are out of our control, we can find peace. Think about this: what would your life look like if you could reduce worry by just 10%? How much more energy and freedom would you have? Moving beyond constant worry requires a conscious effort to change our mental habits. It starts with questioning the utility of worry itself. Does worrying about tomorrow make today any better? Most often it does not. Mindful practices, such as meditation or focused breathing, can be effective tools in grounding ourselves in the moment. Stoic exercises, like visualizing potential hardships and preparing calmly, help us face the future with a balanced mind. Remember, peace is found not in the absence of challenges, but in the strength to meet them without fear. Number 3. Perfectionism. Perfectionism may seem like a virtue, but it often creates a barrier to peace. The desire to achieve flawless results can leave us feeling exhausted, unfulfilled, and perpetually disappointed. We tell ourselves that anything less than perfect is a failure, which causes an endless cycle of self-criticism and stress. But here's a question to consider: has perfectionism ever truly made you happy, or has it merely made you more anxious? Stoic philosophy sheds light on the fallacy of seeking perfection in an imperfect world. As Epictetus said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. If perfection is unachievable, then are we setting ourselves up for failure? The Stoics believe that striving for excellence is admirable, but they also stress the importance of accepting limitations both in ourselves and the world. For example, a painter may never consider a work completely perfect, but that doesn't make their art less valuable. The same principle applies to daily life. Whether it's a work project or a personal goal, sometimes good enough truly is enough. By lowering our unrealistic standards, we create space for more peace and less disappointment. Consider this: is it better to finish a task imperfectly or to be paralyzed by the fear of not doing it flawlessly? Psychologically, perfectionism is linked to high levels of anxiety and even depression. The relentless pursuit of flawlessness keeps us from enjoying our achievements, as the bar always seems to move higher. This mentality robs us of appreciating our own progress. Stoic thought provides a remedy by encouraging self-compassion and the acceptance of our humanity. Marcus Aurelius himself acknowledged his imperfections, but kept striving to live virtuously without expecting absolute flawlessness. Can you afford to be more forgiving of your mistakes and see them as opportunities to grow rather than failures? Breaking free from perfectionism involves a shift in perspective. We need to redefine what success looks like and allow ourselves to be human. Progress, not perfection, should be the goal. By adopting a Stoic mindset, we can transform the pressure to be perfect into a healthier motivation to do our best, understanding that our worth isn't tied to our achievements. In the end, peace comes from knowing we did our utmost while accepting that imperfection is part of the human experience. So ask yourself, are you ready to trade the exhausting pursuit of perfection for the joy of genuine accomplishment? Number 4. Comparing yourself to others. Comparing yourself to others is a mental habit that can quietly drain your happiness and sense of worth. It's tempting to measure our achievements, looks, or possessions against those around us, especially in the age of social media, where everyone's highlights are on full display. But is this comparison actually fair or healthy? Stoic philosophy urges us to reject this mindset and instead focus on our personal journey and values. Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, "It never ceases to amaze me we all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Why do we let the success of others define our self-worth?" The Stoics taught that true contentment comes from focusing on our own growth and what we can control. Imagine a student who constantly compares their grades to the class topper instead of focusing on their own progress. This comparison not only creates unnecessary stress, but also detracts from the joy of learning. The Stoic approach would be to celebrate your own milestones and improve based on your standards, not someone else's. Psychologically, this is also backed by research. Comparison often breeds envy and dissatisfaction, while self-compassion fosters happiness and resilience. So can you make a commitment to value your unique path, rather than getting lost in someone else's journey? Another reason why comparing ourselves to others is so destructive is that it's often based on incomplete information. We see the outward success, but not the struggles or sacrifices behind it. Epictetus, another Stoic thinker, emphasized the importance of understanding that everyone's circumstances are different. For example, you might admire a friend's luxurious lifestyle without realizing the financial stress they might be under. It's an illusion that leads to endless dissatisfaction. The Stoics remind us to practice gratitude and be content with what we have, focusing on our own strengths and what we can contribute to the world. What would happen if you spent more time appreciating your blessings instead of longing for someone else's? To free yourself from this trap, it's essential to shift your focus inward. Ask yourself, what are your values and how do your actions align with them? In the end, peace comes from knowing you are living authentically and striving to be the best version of yourself. You don't need to be better than others, you only need to be better than the person you were yesterday. By breaking the habit of comparison, you open yourself to a more meaningful and satisfying life, where fulfillment is based on internal growth rather than external validation. Number 5. Chasing short-term pleasures. Chasing short-term pleasures may seem appealing, but it often comes at the expense of long-term peace and fulfillment. Our world is filled with instant gratification: a scroll through social media, the thrill of a spontaneous purchase, or the temporary high from indulging in a decadent treat. Yet, have you ever noticed how these moments of pleasure rarely leave a lasting sense of satisfaction? The Stoics, including Seneca, warned against becoming a slave to fleeting desires. He once wrote, "Pleasures, when they go beyond a certain limit, are but punishments." Are we indulging in things that give us momentary happiness while depriving ourselves of deeper, enduring contentment? Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of living in accordance with our values and prioritizing what truly matters. Consider someone who chooses to party every weekend to escape their problems, only to find themselves exhausted, financially strained, and unfulfilled come Monday. This lifestyle may offer temporary relief, but it often exacerbates underlying issues. The Stoics teach us that real joy comes from self-mastery and meaningful pursuits, not from temporary indulgences. What if we learned to seek happiness in acts of personal growth, helping others, or spending quality time with loved ones instead? From a psychological standpoint, constantly chasing short-term pleasures activates the brain's reward system, releasing dopamine and creating a cycle of cravings. While this may feel good momentarily, it doesn't provide lasting fulfillment and often leaves us wanting more. The Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort, like fasting or abstaining from luxuries, to remind themselves that they didn't need constant pleasure to live well. This approach not only builds mental resilience, but also teaches us to appreciate life's simpler, more meaningful joys. Can you imagine how liberating it would be to no longer be controlled by cravings for instant gratification? Breaking free from the cycle of short-term pleasures doesn't mean rejecting all enjoyment, but rather finding balance. We should aim to engage in pleasures mindfully and intentionally, without letting them take control of our lives. By prioritizing what brings true value, such as meaningful relationships, purposeful work, and self-development, we build a more solid foundation for happiness. As the Stoics remind us, discipline and self-awareness lead to genuine contentment. Ask yourself, are your current pursuits bringing you closer to a peaceful, fulfilling life, or are they simply distractions from what truly matters? I hope these Stoic teachings are useful and effective for you. My goal is to make your life better and more enjoyable. I will accompany you in this interesting and meaningful magazine.